I liked hurting people, and I like to be able to hurt people, and I like to be able to hurt them and get away with it. You know, that to be too frightened to tell the guards and, you know, charge you, get you arrested. It gave me a feeling of power when I could do those things. If I was fighting a person, you could beat the shit out of him, like, and if they didn't go down one way, put them down another. You know, and I always felt good after it. And I just think, fine, bring on the next fella.
Most of his fights came from pubs. He'd often go down to another pub now, and he'd go in and order a few pints and throw your men 5 pence up in the counter and said, that'll do you. He wouldn't pay him for his drink. And he'd go in from there and he'd go up to another pub. So sure enough, by the time he's finished, he'd have a couple of rows got in.
Of course, Michael was a devil may care. He'd be laughing. He used to do a lot of laughing. And I said, I don't like you laughing like that, Michael. I said, if you were innocent, it's a different thing, but why are you doing a lot of, he was doing a lot of laughing. So eventually he was taken and he'd done a bit of time and everything. He was becoming of age that time.
There was a crowd of us in the ring where we lived, in the estate. There were some people on ropes and we were pushing them around, the men were pushing them around, and a neighbour had came out and cut down the rope, so Mikey was very agitated over this, like. And he went back later and he hung his 2 greyhounds, this man's greyhounds, out of the gate.
I thought he was nice at the time, and you know, he was completely different to what people were saying about him. He was, you know, a great laugh, and you know, he had a great sense of humour. He still has, but you know, I couldn't make out how he was the person that I knew him compared to the person what people was telling me about him, like, or reading about, or, you know, things like that.
Violence. He had connected with violence. That's how I perceived it. And he had, what unfortunately then that had happened with that an image had been created, like a ritual had been created around this. And that gave him the name, that gave him significance. And I feel that that significance is where he thought he was getting his intimacy and his met.
It's a hardened criminal. It didn't matter whether I had to use crimes of violence or non-violence. Whatever there was money, I tried to take it. Anthony was following me everywhere I go. I couldn't get rid of him, so I brought him with me.
If we knew there was money in the house or anything like that, we'd go in and get it, you know. If we knew like there was stuff we could actually sell on, we'd go in and take that as well, you know. I mean, some things we would have got caught for and some things we didn't get caught for.
Yes. Go ahead. Will you contact Tom and Sean and tell them that I want 2 extra patrols around the units in the Kilmallock Road? There's a lot of activity around there. We were gambling with our freedom, you know. Roger that. Prison had no deterrent to me in the early days, you know. That's where you learn your trade. You spend one sentence thinking what the places you were going to rob when you get out, you know, and you'll be fabricating in your mind and planning them, and just have to get out and do them places. When you go into a premises, it don't belong to someone else, it belongs to us for the time we're in it, and we feel we can do what we want, take what we want, damage what we want, you know. If we want to vandal the place, vandal it, it's ours, we're in it. I mean, like, to be in a place, to be robbing it, and the guards come checking the door, like, and you know you're in there, and you have a bar going across the door, and they think the door's still locked, you know. You get the feeling that, right, we're in, we own it for that time that we're in there. Well, I wasted 17 years of my life going in and out of prison. You either learn the system very, very soon, you learn how to play the system, or you kept getting hurt.
Well, I was 16 when I went in, and I was 24 when I finished the sentence. So I had a fight in the first few hours in there. So after a while, and say a month or two of fighting them and the whole lot, they know you wouldn't take any messing from them. So they kind of back off you and pick it out in other fellas that they could walk over.
I disrupted the prison system and I took it on, caused as much damage as I could, assaulted as many prison officers as I could in that 3 days. And in the end, they wouldn't let me out of the cell. You know, I'll be honest, I was like an animal in a cage.
Well, my memory of them is that certainly Michael would have been regarded and was regarded as a troublemaker within the prison community at the time, and would be regarded as a tough man. He had that image. The main, I suppose, way that the characteristics of the hard man in prison is a guy who is constantly being on report, disciplinary report, and constantly being punished for abuses of the regulations and all that, and probably resorting in cases to violence against other inmates or against staff. For most prisoners, especially the typical prisoner would come from, you know, very identifiable geographical areas, backgrounds where there's a lot of poverty, poorly educated and all that, it is almost impossible for them to break away from it. Because they haven't the skills, they haven't the ability, and they don't get a very receptive welcome in the community either.
You hear the stories of people saying it's a holiday camp, and it's no way a holiday camp. Because no matter what privileges they give you or anything like that, you're locked in the cell. And at that time, we used to be locked in the cell nearly 18 hours a day. Crime don't pay. No matter, you might get away with 4 jobs, but the one you get caught for is the one that can bring you down altogether, you know.
If people that I was associated with, when I was involved in criminal activities and locked up in front, if one of them just looks and says, I remember him, I know what he was, if he can do it, anyone can do it. And they'll find themselves not wanting to go back to prison, because that's all it takes, is to be happy once out of prison and you don't want to go back. I used to think it was hard, and I used to look up to people with a reputation and think they were hard. But if you ask me today, is there such a thing as a hard man, I'd certainly say no. There's no such thing, because you always meet someone better than you.
Well, I would consider it next to impossible, because not only are you coming out with a record, you're also coming out into a community where, number one, there's always a suspicion on you. The chances of getting a job are next to impossible. There is always the belief that you're still involved in crime. And then if you have been in the situation that Michael was in, you're always watching your back, because obviously he had hurt a lot of people.
He's paying back society now, I feel. I think he's trying to help young kids who is going to go astray, and he knows they're going to go astray. He's giving them the benefit of his knowledge, that no one ever gave us the benefit of their knowledge, you know. And I think he's trying to keep them out of jail, like. And he knows jail won't solve anything for him.
I think that one of the key factors was that he got involved in a lot of the things that I was doing. He kind of strung along, and he used to be over with them, and they accepted him.
Telling them, right, exactly where they're coming and where they're going from, right? I knew they all knew my past. Not one of them ever brought it up. And before I knew it, I was caught up in counselling youths that could go the same road I did. Next thing, I found out I had certain qualities, and people was telling me I was good at this, I was good at that. I started to feel important about myself, and that I had a future, and that I had a life.
He's trying to make a new start, and people are ignoring him to the ground, you know, and when my kids were out on the road, they bring their kids in, whereas now it's completely different, like, you know, the kids are left out and they're left play with people and mix with people. Most people probably think that he is still the same Mikey, but he did change an awful lot. Now, it took him, I'm with him 8 years, and it took him 8 years to kind of come from drinking to being sober. It's kind of going from criminal activities into a normal person, like. Most times now, he'd often slag, you know, I'm going back to my old ways. Like, you know, if we have nothing now, some weeks he might be stuck and he said, Jesus, I'm going back to my own ways. And we're slagging about it. Like, I was saying, God, look what you have to lose, like, if you did.
I make my living today with my own security firm. Security, premises, factories, places, houses, anything at all.
It really is hard because now he only has a certain amount of them, like, whereas before when he had loads, he was going 24 hours a day. He'd just come in and maybe get 2 hours sleep and get a phone call. He has to get up and go. And he'd be walking around like a zombie. And I'm saying, geez, why are you tired from? I mean, you're sitting in the van and you're driving around here and there. But it is hard.
Security is a dangerous business. As I said, the criminal element, they don't care where they rob or where they get the money, and they don't care how or who they affect.
We go down no mess, and right, good luck.
Because I done it myself when I was involved in criminal activities. I never ever gave a hoot who was suffering because of what I took or where I took it. It's just a matter that I had a drink habit, and to satisfy that habit, I took money wherever I could get it, or property. I had no respect for people's privacy or property.
Will you check PS4 and see is he okay, please? Okay, I don't That's good.
It's not just a question of putting somebody in doing a job. We've got to put in the right people and know that the person that's doing the job is qualified to do that job and give it the same service as I would personally give it myself. And I also have an added bonus is that when I was involved in criminal activities, I sort of know how to beat security systems.
That's correct. You know, there's a couple of fellas now down the road as I was coming in.
When you're in prison locked up, one thing you have plenty of things to do is time, you know. That last sentence, it was the only time I ever experienced difficulty in prison with coping with my domestic life. And I went to the governor of Limerick prison and I pleaded with him for a day out to sort out a domestic problem. And his attitude at the time, which was probably right, was a negative one. And I said, fine, I'll kill a screw every day I'm here.
My occasion at the first meeting was being in the governor's office, and I was told that he was a walking time bomb, I think was the phrase that was used, and that he was he really had turned completely against the establishment, and that he was going to do as much possible damage as he could, and that he was out to make his point at whatever cost.
Next thing at 9 o'clock, before I know it, at 9 o'clock one night, the door opened and I jumped up and pulled the mattress in front of me, but it was a priest come in. And I told him politely what to do with himself, like, get the fuck out of here, I don't want no priest.
He was not able to communicate, he was not able to express whatever hurt. He was just pure emotion, and he was angry. He was outraged is the word that best I could describe it.
And he said, look, I'm going to make all ask you for 5 minutes of your time, and look, your family asked me to come in, they're worried about you, they're hearing this and they're hearing that.
You certainly felt in his presence that you were not wanted. Indeed, nobody was wanted. I'm not too sure whether he wanted to be with himself.
That 5 minutes turned into 3 hours, and it was the happiest 3 hours of my life in prison. Because all the bitterness, all the hatred that I had, and all the things that I thought was problems just evaporated out of me. There weren't problems, you know. And to be honest, I think it's the first time in my life that a person told me that he loved me. I could never remember my mother and my father telling me.
I do remember it saying to him that I loved him, and I don't know why I said that, but that always stands out, because I felt within myself, I tried to connect with my child, as I would term it.
I think the thing that fascinated me most was he told me about his own young life and what he experienced growing up.
It was like being back in a home where alcoholism was going on. It was a mood altering. We were going from extremes all the time. But I felt that we were beginning to connect.
He had a certain way about expressing himself. That was not everything that I was telling him. He was telling me that it happened to him, but just only in a different way. And I'll never forget it when he went out of my cell. He was only gone about 5 minutes, and I was praying for him, the door to open for him to come back in again. When I was called and told Father Joe wanted me in the governor's office on a Sunday morning, I said, Jesus, there's something wrong here, because no one gets out of prison on a Sunday, you know. And I just looked and I seen something in his face, you know. It was actually the first time I looked at him during the time I went into the room. And he said, Mike, I'm very sorry to have to tell you that your father passed away this morning, massive heart attack.
To have to come in on the second meeting and tell him that his father was dead, I felt was like a betrayal of our relationship.
The emotional things in your whole life with someone that you thought you hated all their life, and suddenly you find out that you love him. And that you never had a father-son relationship with him, and that you never had fond memories as a father and son, like.
He'd been in prison most of his life. And how could he ever connect with his father? Maybe in death it was the first opportunity for him to be with his dad without being the hard man and without being chained to an institution that he'd given his life to by playing this crazy role.
I was the second eldest in a family of 13. I was a wild child, sometimes uncontrollable. I used to be up to every type of devilment that you could possibly be, like petty thefts, robbing stuff off of counters, and delivery trucks when they deliver stuff to the doors, running away with the groceries, things like that. That's how it started.
I had little bits of problem with him. You know, our neighbours were concerned in Prospect, like, he used to meddle with our cats, and I had complaints, and there was other things. There was a man used to come up with, actually Matterson's lorry with it piled up with pigs, and he opened the back of it and let them all out. That's the type of a child he was.
My mother always stood by us. She never ever turned her back on us, no matter how bad we were. But at the same time, my mother used to drink. And when my mother used to drink, there'd be violent eruptions in the house, you know. We'd sort of know when to expect when there was going to be trouble if we seen our parents coming in drunk and running and shouting, you know. We'd know something happened in the pub because they couldn't drink together without having an argument, you know. Kids just go to bed and pretend they were asleep, and they'd be pushed to the outside of the bed, nearest the door. You couldn't describe to someone the way you live in fear of the unknown, you know, and you just pray that tomorrow would be different.
I can remember actually going to Southhill. We actually moved our stuff in the horse and cart. At the time, the horse and cart was the transport around. We were about the fourth family in Southhill, because when we did move up, we used to be playing around in their houses. It went from our estate, which wasn't the big one, went to another estate, which wasn't too big as well. You know, it'd be maybe 200 houses. Like, when that estate finished, then they built another estate. Before long, then there was, 10,000 people living there, and it ended up kind of like a ghetto.
From a young age in Southhill, Southhill was a big housing estate, and houses had become vacant, or you get to know who was who, and which people live with, and you'd see them going to a pub, you know, there was no one in the house to go up and rob it. And mainly it was only the gas meter that time, and if we were lucky to get a telly and whatever else you'll take it, you know. With friends, very easy. The friends developed into various different gangs, and we used to hang out at street corners. In Southhill, you'd never be bored. There was always devilment to get up to. I'd do anything, fighting, care who I fought and care where I fought, men or people my own age. I never left anyone do anything to me and get away with it. You know, I was always adamant that if somebody done something to me, I'd do unto others what they do to me, and I'd do it first.
Then they started to leave school. They were at me, they didn't want to go to school, they'd leave school. Well, so that time you had technical schools and they never went home. They left at say 13. To be always on a school holiday, it would happen they wouldn't go back. That's where the problem came.
The travellers used to live all around there, you know. They'd all have their horses up around the caravans, or at that time there was a lot of open fields and the houses weren't built around. So we'd go up and just take their horses and jock them around for a while, you know.
If there was a good horse and I thought he was fast, you know, I'd get my brother Anthony to jock him first, and if he jocked him, I'd hop up and away, you know.
On a couple of occasions when they'd be coming up in the bus, they'd see us on the horses. So they'd stop the bus in the middle of the street and come out, and there could be 10 or 12 of them maybe running off the bus trying to catch us.
If to catch you with a horse, believe me, you'd know about it. Get the shit out of you, you know.
Well, a lot of the people, they have nothing else to do. And some people up to their fathers buys them a little pony or buys them a horse, you know, to keep them out of trouble. There's so many horses in Limerick, and everyone wants to live the whole of Limerick know they have the best animal. So if another man had a half good horse, they would go along and make a challenge of a sulky race for that Sunday or 3 weeks' time to find out if his horse, we say, is the better horse. So they all meet in on a Sunday morning, and both sulkies and horses then would be brought along and they set up a race then.
How far are you trotting for? 1 mile. How much? £500. Is that agreement? That's okay. That's it.
It's always 2 horses. They run them on the road, and it's illegal to have sulky races, like, you know. That's why you couldn't have any more horses, like. It's all done in secret, and Sunday morning is the best day for it because it's the quietest.
I was drinking in the Galvo when I was 15 years of age. And to be honest, if the barman didn't serve me, I'd threaten him, like. That's how I got served. They'd rather serve me than be fighting me, yeah. We'd just say I was out for a night's drink, and I came home and it'd be half jarred or maybe fully jarred. And I go in, you know, and no one would say anything to me. I just have to cause trouble.
There'd be arguments regular over him, you know. He'd come in drunk now, or if he was drunk over in the Galvo, which was only opposite our own house, my father would actually see firsthand what Michael used to be up to. So when he gets Michael in home, he'd give him a couple of clatters and warn him he'd be thrown out of the house, like if he don't crap himself on it. But of course, Michael took no notice of him, you know.
Came in one evening and he was in the valley, and his father just gave out to him about drinking so heavy, and he was too young and all this, that he got into a temper. Now his father was gone upstairs this time into the room, and I had to go up after Michael. On the landing he got violent, Michael, and I didn't know he took a knife up and he signed up to the landing. And only I pinned him down. He said he wanted to kill his father. I said, "You don't know what you're saying. I'm going to kill him," he said. He got so violent and I holding him down. I said, "Well, you'll have to do it to me to get to your father." I don't know how long I held him, but the longer I held him, like, he calmed down.
We all had the same upbringing, like, I don't know what really turned him on that side. A lot of it maybe was down to drink, I'd say, you know. We were all built the same as well as the family and the upbringing we got, so I don't really know what made him turn like that, because all the rest of the family didn't, so maybe it's an individual thing.
Well, I left home when I was actually 16, and my parents couldn't control me anymore. They just had enough of me, and I wouldn't accept their role in the house, so the easiest thing for me to do was go out in the street.
My father actually was in the army for about 18 and a half years. Well, roughly around 18 years he was in the army. And he was encouraging Mike to go into the army, hoping that it would straighten him out, because Mike had a lot of trouble behind him at the time. The thing was put to Mike, he said, look Mike, if you go into the army, we'll forget about these and see how you get on. And so Mike went into the army, I believe, to save himself going into jail.
My mother and father came down to the passing out parade. It was actually one where I think the only time in the army I felt proud, you know, to look at my father, to know I was following in his footsteps. And there was a big reception after it in the NCO's mess where my father mixed with some of his mates from when he was in the army. I was in a lot of fights in the army. Lucky enough I got away with most of them, but the last one, it was impossible to get away with it. I was down in a trolley on camp, and myself and three mates, I had a date in the Brandon Hotel. And we were on the way there. We didn't know it at the time, we were just around the corner from it. And we asked three locals where was the Brandon Hotel. And they started abusing us, no, coming down there, taking over, and why the fuck should we tell you this, why should we tell you that? And one of them trying to hit at me, and I moved back and I gave him a dig. And when I hit him, he fell on three spikes on a rail, you know, that there were sharp spikes. And he sort of fell, and I jumped up and I sort of beat him more on him, you know, until the two of them went to hurt him as much as possible, you know. And the three that was with me ran, and the two that was with him doing a bunk. So when I was finished, like, I just left him stuck in the spikes and went into the dance.
After the trouble Mikey caused in the army, the father felt half disgraced, you know. He felt let down. The fights then, they got worse then, you know.
I used to go into rages, you know. I'd say I'd beat him and there'd have to be blood or bones broke, you know. I wouldn't stop at that, like. Just kick him senseless, you know, beat him senseless.
First time I met him, he was sitting down, and I looked across. I was a bouncer on the door there. I looked across, and he looked at me. And I knew there was something about him. There was going to be a fight somewhere along the line.
George O'Megan at that time was a man no one had messed with. He was classed as the dangerous man now in Limerick. There's no one that interfered with him.
And I went up to the bar to get a drink, and you know when you were taking 3 pints off a bar together, like, I got slapped with a pull cue on the back of the head. So I turned around and George was standing there with the top of the queue in his hand, like, looking at it, you know, and I'll fucking fix you, you're supposed to be a hard man if that's what you are. And there was no massive fight for probably 30, 40 minutes. And the guards was called, and George says, you got me when I was drunk, you know. So I said, fine, I'll see you in the morning, 11 o'clock in the side door, and I wasn't afraid of him anymore. His reputation didn't mean anything to me.
Well, he was strong. He wasn't very skillful or clever, but when he hit you, he hurted you. That's the type of fighter he was. So we fought twice. And he didn't beat me, I didn't beat him. We shook hands, and we never fought since.
At this time I was gone into hard crime, you know, armed robberies, aggravated burglaries, hold-ups, jump-overs, post bank snatches. I was getting more addicted to alcohol. You know, I wanted to spend more time. Actually, I think around that time, I was just robbing mainly to have enough money to satisfy my thirst for alcohol. You know? Still not knowing I was an alcoholic.
Back in the early 1980s, Mike and Anthony Kelly were involved in various feuds which raged throughout the city. The impression that that gave of Limerick was that it was a very violent place and that people weren't safe coming here. It also contributed enormously to the impression that Limerick was Stab City.
This wasn't one of those feuds where people were going to call each other names or throw a few stones at each other, maybe put in a few windows. This was one of those feuds where people were going to die.
The following week then, I was in another pub, and the same crowd came into that pub.
To do what?
Well, they had weapons, and I believed they were coming in to kill me inside the pub, you know. So a big row broke out inside there, and two of the people that came in and attacked me that time, they died. And I got charged with murder. It was a double murder at the time. And I went through a trial. A trial went on then for 2 weeks above in Dublin. And I was found not guilty above that. I was actually cleared, completely cleared of it, you know.
Before we know it, like, we were involved in shootings, stabbing incidents and sniping and gone out to maim. And at the same time, all the innocent members of my family was in fear of their life to go out. They couldn't go out in public. Their public life was stopped. They were in the house. I mean, my mother's house was like a fortress.
I had several people come up to me and say, you know, get him, fight him. He's one of the Kellys. Like, I didn't want to fight. I didn't. To this day, I still won't, you know, because that doesn't answer questions, like, it doesn't make things right.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about guys going along on motorbikes and firing. And both of them, I certainly can tell you, were sufficiently capable of doing irreparable damage.
Well, the whole community in Southhill was, I suppose, living in fear because they didn't know when shots was going to be discharged or where. We had no consideration for innocent people's safety in the matter, you know. And we had only one target, is to want to others what they do to us, and they do it first.
In one particular incident, my two young brothers, one was about 5, I think, and the other was 7 at the time, was tied onto the railway line, and they got battered with stones and the whole. They got split like at the time. There was no arrest for it, or no one ever got charged with it.
And I just got a shotgun and drove up and kicked in the door and was going to kill any adult males in the house, like. But they all legged it out the back, you know. And I ran back around out the front door to cut them off, coming out the alley at the back. And I seen something moving at the window, and I was just going to blow the head off it, like, to be honest. And I realised, I seen the blondie hair, and there's only 2 people in the house. It was the mother and the daughter with blondie hair, and I pulled the shot. But it didn't happen to be that family at all. It was a different family, you know. So subsequently, like, I was arrested and charged for shooting with intent to endanger life. And got sentenced to 10 years. 7 suspended to do actually 3 years. Before I met Majella, I was married. I never really loved my wife, but in between going in and out of prison, there was 3 kids born, 2 boys and a girl whom I loved very much. After a few months of my last sentence, I discovered that she was having an affair, and it made me very bitter and very angry towards her. I remember when I was released on full temporary release from prison, I went home that night and I put a big butcher's knife under the mattress, you know. It was actually a knife that length. And I waited until the kids was asleep, and I gave her a beating, like, it was unbelievable. She was begging me to kill her in the end. And I said, you know, and lucky enough, I had the knife out and I was just going to shove it into. And my eldest daughter in England, she was only young at the time, like, came in the door and said, "That was wrong." And straight away, that brought me to reality, you know. And it was not love of money mess and going into bed. So I just and then I said to my wife, leave, I said, and go to England, I said, and do the best you can, because I know I never loved her, as in love in a relationship, you know. The day she left, I went out, I called it out, celebrating, drinking with my brother Derek, you know. And we ran away home at 7 o'clock when we met a friend. And he said, your mother's up in the rendezvous, and my mother was after winning a few, but I think it was on the horses. So she gave me a tenner and bought me a few drinks, you know. I had a date with a girl in the pub across the road in Old Edward. And I went into the pub and I seen her sitting at the table, you know. And next thing, the door was busted in. And there was a group of people, maybe 8 to 12 people. And when I turned, you know when you turn to look like and you see a group of people rushing at you, and just that, next thing you got jabbed with something in the eyes. I think there was a pint glass. And you can see the scars in the eyes, like I was sort of blinded by it. And I was fighting blind from there on, but I remember I was directly inside the doors. So I somersaulted down onto the street. Sort of took most of the crowd with me. And I was fighting blind for a while, and I was hitting this and hitting that, but with no direction, you know. Next thing I felt a hot burning sensation in my side.
Some girl came in and she said, aren't you Mrs. Kelly? And I said, I am. She said, your son is dead out on the road. I said, well, she said, isn't Micheal Kelly your son? And I said, yes. Well, she said, he's dead out on the road. And I got up and I went out, and he was on a footpath across the road from where I was. And I went over. Oh, I'd done a terrible thing. I went over, and I had his face covered with a cloth. And I just cut the cloth and I threw it away. And I roared into his ear and I said, Micheal, you're not going. Don't go, I said. He was dead. I said, don't go, please don't go. You can't go, you just can't go, I said. Whoever done this, I said, he'll be sorry because God will be angry.
And I woke up in the hospital, and I realised that I was after being clinically dead for something like 2 or 3/4 minutes. I'm not actually sure of the time, but I know I was at death's door getting ready for the freezer, you know.
I remember going down to Barrington's that day, and he was such in a bad state, like, that we even thought at that time he was gone. But he pulled through, like, and when he pulled through, then he said, they'll never catch me drunk again, you know.
He had received so many stab wounds that night that it was certainly, I thought that was the end.
It took about 15, 16 months to recover fully, you know. It was a prolonged concussion for months after it, you know, very severe concussion, that if I walked on a pebble, I'd actually lose my balance, you know. Very sick for a long time.
It came to a stage that loss of life was going to come on our side and on the other side. So Joe Young, the priest at the time, turned around and he got involved.
Well, there was a lot of discussion to and fro. I was really became a messenger boy.
So Joe Young was wise at the time, and the way he handled all that, it resolved it really.
I was about 15 when I met him. We went to England. Of course, we were getting on brilliant over in England. Then Anthony's trial was up, and Mikey told me he had to come back for his trial. And of course, a few weeks passed, no sign of Mikey coming back, and I gets a phone call saying that he kind of made it up with his wife. She gave him another chance, and he's taking the chance and all this. 5 years later it was. We went to do a Crew Park do. The night I went, I met Mikey, and we were talking to one another, and you know, we went away with one another then that night.
I had a string of relationships with women, and I never ever felt what I feel for Majella, for any other woman, or never even came near it. I idolised her.
Well, for the first few months now, it was like living in heaven. right? Then after a few months he started beating me, and it kind of, I was saying, Jesus, you know, this is not the Mikey I knew, like, and I couldn't make out why he was hitting me, really, because I was saying, Jesus, I done nothing, like, and he's after killing me for nothing. So I kind of forgave him the first time, and the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time I forgave him, and maybe the fifth time then I left him and came back, and he promised me he'd never hit me again. And so I said, I took his word for it, like, of course I was mad about him, like, so I forgave him anyway.
How she's still with me is a mystery for the violence that I inflicted upon her when I used to get those rages or bouts of depression. When things weren't going right for me out in the street, it was very easy to bring it home, beat the shit out of her, you know.
One time, he used to always take the child out of the cot and put him into the bed, and I used to say to him, don't lift the child out of the cot, you know, because if you're rolling him, you'll hurt him, you know. So I went into the room this night, and he had the child, and I goes over and I goes, geez, I told you not to take him out of the cot. And I just had the child put in the cot, and I got crucified. We were living in a bungalow, I got murdered. Really, no, I got kicked around the place, headed, kicked, you name it, digged, everything. And I remember I was over the kitchen sink, and the blood was pouring everywhere out of my nose and up my throat and everywhere. And my eye was huge at the time. And I was sobbing so much that he came over. I couldn't breathe because the blood was stopped me from breathing. And he came over and he said, I'm sorry, you know, and I was saying, geez, he must be sorry, like, I mean, he couldn't mean this, like, for me to suffer like this.
Well, when I got into a rage, you know, it might be something small, it wouldn't actually be something serious. And I just wanted to inflict as much violence. I wanted to kill people. I seen blood, you know, nothing but blood. And I just felt that was the easiest way to express myself.
I came down the stairs and sat on the couch with the child, and the two of us were crying our hearts out. Now, I was crying because the child was actually crying, and I was saying, geez, what am I putting these kids through, like?
I sat there for an hour and I said, this can't go on. And I remember going back up home, calling Majella upstairs, sitting on the bed, and saying, look, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this to you. I don't know why. I said, because you're the last person on the earth that I should be doing this to. I actually remember saying to her on the day, if we want to leave, mate, we'll leave as friends before I do any more damage.
I think that was the actual last time he hit me, when he actually, because a few weeks after that, then I found out I was having twins. Before, I could never talk to him. It was just hit, and that was it. Like, his anger was gone then once he hit me, like. So now I'd sit down and say, look, Mike, you're out of line now, like, and sit down and talk, like. We were kind of getting on when he knew I was pregnant on the twins, you know. It was kind of going from hell to heaven, you know, and I was saying, Jesus, this is unreal, like, you know. We'd have an argument and he'd walk out the door and I was saying, God, he'll come back now and he'll kill me for this or that. So we kind of got on great, but when I had the twins then, it was really now on a cloud. I was saying, Jesus, this is unreal altogether.
Jeez, they were brilliant, you know. It was, I mean, Majella used to toss them from hand to hand. It's like as if she never had a care in the world. She was doing it all her life. And then one of the babies got sick with a strangled hernia. Apparently he had it since he was born and wasn't diagnosed. And we rushed the baby to the hospital, but by the time we got him, it was too late, like, and he died. And I'll never ever forget as long as I live. When they brought the baby out to us, myself and Majella just held the child, and every tear, every thing that we had in us, you know, just. And I think that baby put a bond there that can never be broken. I honestly believe that. And the twin that's alive today, I believe the twin that died, there's a piece of him in him. And every time he comes in the door, we expect to see two, you know. And unfortunately, it takes tragedy to show people and make them realise the facts of life. Out of all the things that happened in the early part of our relationship has bonded us. And I think our kids is reaping the benefit of it now, today. I love Southhill and I love the people in Southhill, and I think there's a brilliant community, but about 10 months ago. My young fella Shane was running out his own front gate and he was nearly killed with a stolen van. And I realise how very easy, once I stayed in the environment, how easy it was to lose everything I was after building up. So I look for a site away from all those things, and I've done that, and I've just actually built the house, completed it out in Balneety. The rest of the ground and the timber and the felt is coming. Naturally, there's people think that it suffers money from our criminal activity days, like, but I never earned very much financially in my criminal activities because there was mostly crimes of a violent nature. I found then that I have something to give society, that I have something to give into the community. I'm doing what I'm good at, and I found it very easy to do that. I love football, and I was a good player when I was playing it. Unfortunately, when I was in prison, I couldn't practice it that much. For 6 years I managed a local team, Croke Park AFC, and I was very successful manager with them. And I started to learn my trade with them, you know. And Father Joe, being associated with Limerick FC, decided that the best thing for the club was to have a team to back up the first team.
And I will score. I'll get a goal or two out here. Michael obviously was a natural choice because he was living in the community. He knew most of the lads, and he had been relatively successful at junior level. Come on now, Des, let's put the old ball in there.
Come on! I can get the best out of players, I can motivate players, and normally the players that I'd select to play for my team would be good 100% players that be fully committed.
It's not just the playing of the game and kind of the set pieces or the coaching aspect of it. I think he can make them believe in themselves because he's had to fight a hard battle himself.
You're running 15 yards back in front of Joe. Stay behind him. One day it came to me that I realised that I was actually 2 years out of prison. I started to see everything in a different light. The guards, the people I thought was enemies, and in general the community of Southhill. There's people in Southhill over the years that have been brilliant. And I will miss Southhill because Southhill is really the only life I know. And life and everything good or bad that happened me in Southhill. That's it, Jesse, well done. Right, the first ball that you went for and kept going and got you, turned and nearly got a goal out of it. When the ball is coming through, you're waiting. You're waiting. You got to go and meet the ball, turn them. That's what creates the chances, right?
Those who have experienced pain and those who've had the opportunity to come out of what would seem to be an impossible situation, to have been entrapped in their own prison. Anyone that can come through that can certainly get kids and can certainly inspire them to put a ball in the net. I wonder how near you can come to just run away your life. And I didn't want that. I just want to live a happy life, full life. I'm prepared to work for it, graft for it, interfere with no one. I don't want anyone interfering with me. Well, I can only look a day at a time. And certainly today it's nice. I'm looking forward to the excitement of the dressing room. I love being in the dugout and kind of saying, there's our field of dreams. And, you know, I think back of the time in prison and now and then, and I look at him and I say, this is nice to be part of this. This is nice.
Yeah. Don't be nervous. I will be flashing all the
To
time.
come from having nothing to this is like heaven. Compared to 8 years ago, if I had the price of a litre of milk, Jesus, I was lucky. Whereas now, the kids drink a litre of milk and I'm sending them to the shop for more kind of a thing. They never want for anything anymore.
Okay.
He has changed, yeah. He has changed, but the change we see in Mikey had been there from a young age as well, like. You know, it was there. We all saw it. We were close growing up and we're close now. So I think when the drink is gone, that the real Mikey has surfaced.
Since he changed his life, right, he's after changing the life of many people. And all he done it with was his education he got in prison, and all his fighting and the whole lot. He's using that now to show these people the way, like.
There we are now. That's a good shot, is it?
I loved them. I loved the children, all my children. I always said it was a white line, good, bad. I often said it was like the film Good, Bad and the Ugly. I loved them all.
Look after each other, maybe, no? You look after him, your son, please.
Talking about now, you know.
I love for anything.
And guys.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to tell him this now.
Get away over there.